and I can't remember how long. I think it's been a couple months. Honestly, it's been a little bit busy on my end. I'm trying to tear myself away where able to do things like this. I've enjoyed doing them in the past, so if this is your first time jumping aboard my live stream or you're watching this on replay, welcome. I've been doing a couple vertical live streams where I either do a topic or I go through some recent reads or currently reading, and that's actually what I plan to do this morning. I am going to be talking about some of my currently reading shelf, let's say. For those that don't know, I do read a lot of books simultaneously, so this shelf here isn't even indicative of every single thing I'm reading right now, but these are some of the ones I'm making my way through more diligently at this moment. So while I wait for people to trickle in, I will say feel free while I'm on today to ask whatever questions you'd like, either about the collections I have or just any comic book miscellany. I always invite that. I am planning on being on maybe 20 minutes today, so hopefully we'll get some people showing up. Again, I'm sorry, I know it's hard when I don't schedule these out, but I thought I'd just jump in and see what we can get. So again, go ahead and feel free to comment if you'd like, and I'll start talking about some of my current reads. First up, in no particular order here, we have Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. This recently got an absolute edition upgrade over at DC Comics, and Jake from The Brave and the Boys, one of my friends, friend of the channel, he went ahead and provided this to me along with a great Superman book, so thank you so much, Jake, over there at Brave and the Boys. Well, it looks like we have some people signing in. Hi, guys. Great to see everyone. For those that don't know Mr. Miracle, though, this has been on my to-be-read list forever. I really enjoyed Tom King, and I know this is one of his most prolific works. I think it's kind of a standalone maxi series. I'm only a few issues into it right now, but man, it's a trip. We definitely go through a lot of different like mental health topics. We have some surrealist kind of stuff happening. It starts with kind of a cool origin of Mr. Miracle, if you don't know who he is. But yeah, really cool stuff. And the artwork from Mitch Gerads here is really great. So I definitely look forward to reviewing this on the channel once I finish it. Like I said, this is just a story I've wanted to read through for some time. And again, there's an absolute edition that just got released. If you're interested in that, maybe check it out at our channel sponsor, Organic Price Books. You can use my code, TheComicBookReport, at checkout to save $2. If you do use my affiliate code, I do earn a small commission just for transparency. But anyway, if you're interested, definitely consider it. Next book I'm reading, this is one I'm pretty excited about, honestly. I know it's gotten some polarizing reviews already, but for whatever reason, I'm excited. Anytime we have a Spider-Man event, I'm pretty stoked, and this is Spider-Man X-Men Venom, kind of, and those are all franchises I really like. I actually read Spider-Man Beyond recently. I plan to do a review of that on the channel in the coming weeks. But I did that to kind of tee up what happens here. My understanding is that this is predominantly a Spider-Man X-Men crossover event where Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor come together as kind of the Forsaken clones to have their revenge on Spider-Man and the X-Men or Jean Grey, respectively. Some cool artwork here. Again, I've heard some mixed things on this. This is the direct market cover. I went for this because I really like the design here from Ryan Stegman. It's also kind of a wraparound here. See, they divided up with the spine a little bit. I did an unboxing video for this if you'd like to get more details on that. But this has been one I've been reading, if not nightly, pretty close to that. Cool. So we have a couple more people trickling in to the live stream. Hi, everyone. Welcome. If you didn't catch it at the beginning, just doing kind of a currently reading live stream for everyone, just to give you an idea of what I'm currently reading, what you might see more of on the channel in the coming weeks or months, and just to generally connect with all of you. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to talk. I am planning to do this for about 20 minutes. So if you're in the live stream, let's get talking. If you're watching this on replay, feel free to still ask questions. I'll try to reply to the comments. Let's see. First question. Have you read Al Ewing's Venom? That is a great question. I know that crosses over a bit with Dark Web. I have not at this date. The most current Venom I've run, I've read, there we go, was the Donny Cates Ryan Stegman run, which preceded the Al Ewing run, if I'm not mistaken. So I am a little bit behind. I've heard pretty good things about that, though. These issues so far with Venom have been kind of interesting, but I am interested in Al Ewing's Venom. Hopefully we see an omnibus sometime. Okay, next up, maybe I'll scoot this over a little bit. Next up, pretty excited for this. This is the New Avengers by Brian Michael Bendis. This run, to me, is one of my favorite runs on Avengers I've ever started, and you might be able to gather from that. I have not finished Bendis's run on Avengers, but I've always planned to. Just recently, Omar at Near Mint Condition announced a volume 2 to this omnibus that I think is coming out in October-ish, give or take. Don't quote me on that, but you can see his announcement video on his channel from this last week. But really exciting, and this is still in print, I think, so this is a good time to jump aboard, especially if you plan to get the volume 2. But yeah, this is really fun. A really great era for X-Men, or sorry, not X-Men, Avengers. We span so many events in this too. Like House of M happens during this run, Civil War happens during this run, I think Secret Invasion happens during this run, and more. Just such a fun time to be a Marvel Comics fan. This was actually one of the earlier omnibuses I ever picked up. I sold it years and years ago when I thought I was out of the hobby. You can see more of that if you've seen my Secret Origin video. But when I came back, this is when I always wanted to recollect, and it was out of print. I didn't want to I didn't want to pay those out of print prices. So when it got reprinted, I was ecstatic. Let's see if I can show you some of the art without everything collapsing. But yeah, this is a really, really great start to an Avengers run. We even have art from David Finch in the beginning, which was nice. Yeah, look at that. We got some good art here, 2-page spread. I know Bendis can sometimes be a polarizing writer, but I've always been a huge and unapologetic fan. Ever since I read his Daredevil run and his run on Ultimate Spider-Man, I'm pretty much a Bendis fan for life, and this is easily one of my favorites. So far, this is just like a really fun kind of blockbuster entertainment kind of run. We do have some really great character moments so far. I'm about halfway in right now, you can see. The omnibus begins with Avengers Disassembled, which is really great for this book, and also if you've been a fan of House of M and you've somehow never read Avengers Disassembled, I consider it kind of essential reading to enjoy that work. So that is the New Avengers. If I'm able to finish that in the coming weeks, I do plan to review that as well. Before we get to these last 4 books, let me go ahead and check the chat again. That TMNT Compendium, yes. Can't wait to talk about that. We'll save that for last. Mostly a Marvel fan. Yeah, you know what? I think I do lean Marvel over anything. I'd go Marvel, DC, and then kind of all the independent non-Big 2 publishers. I think I was more even Marvel DC once upon a time, but these days I still skew Marvel. A lot of my collection favors Marvel, but I still love DC. When I can get in on DC, I'm always excited, but I definitely need to up my DC comic game. Let's see, I'm finishing up Marvel Knights Daredevil, then starting Bendis Volume 1. Well, Mr. Tex, you're in for a wild ride. The Marvel Knights era of Daredevil is great. That was one of my early starting points as well. I think I read some of the early Silver Age, I believe Frank Miller, and then I started with Guardian Devil by Kevin Smith, which I believe is the beginning of Marvel Knights. And then I've read up through Zdarsky, basically, almost completely uninterrupted. I haven't gotten to the Saladin Ahmed Daredevil stuff, but I've read almost everything else, and I've really, really enjoyed it. So if you have never read Bendis' Daredevil, that's actually my favorite superhero comic run of all time, so you're in for a treat. I hope you like it. Let's see what else we got. Bendis did so well with the Avengers, but crap the bed with Superman. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on his Superman. I have yet to read it again, but maybe someday. I'm open. I've also heard mixed reviews about his all-new X-Men, but I am really excited to read that. I think that's getting an omnibus too finally, so really good stuff. But let's go ahead and keep going. Again, as you're trickling in, thank you for everyone who's watching. Please don't forget to leave a like and feel free to ask me questions. Like I said, I'll be here for another 10-15 minutes. But yeah, we'll move right along to another current read. This is the Deadpool Minibus, Volume 1. As you can see, it's the trim size of an omnibus. It's just a little bit thinner, although there are some omnibuses that I think are this size or less, so I consider this an omnibus. This is currently out of print, but I found a good deal of it on eBay. I'd always been curious about this, and after reading through The Sixth Gun by Cullen Bunn over at Oni Press, I was looking for more Cullen Bunn, and I saw that he did most of this minibus, if not all of it. It starts with Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Again, these are titles I've always been curious about. If you don't know about the minibus, in addition to being a little bit smaller, it really is a compilation of Deadpool miniseries rather than like a proper ongoing Deadpool run. But yeah, I like it so far. It's pretty violent, and there's some humor here, but it has a darker edge, at least to start. I think I've preferred my Deadpool slightly more humorous, but if you lean more action-heavy Deadpool, this is definitely an amazing book to get. And I'm still really thankful to have it in my collection. Would love to hear if anyone's checking out the Deadpool minibuses, or if you've read it or been a fan of it. Like I said, yeah, still making my way through this, but I'm excited. I've been wanting to read more Deadpool. I don't have a ton in my collection, at least at this time. So, I'm actually hoping we get more Deadpool Omnibus reprints. I feel like he has a bunch that are out of print right now, but I'd love a chance at the Daniel Way run. I really liked that run in the past, or yeah, there's a couple others I've been wanting to check out more extensively. Okay, let's look back at the chat before I get to the next book. Have you read Joe Kelly's Amazing Spider-Man run? Does it pick up after JMS's run? I have not read Joe Kelly's run. However, I know it got an omnibus recently. My understanding about Joe Kelly's run is that it's kind of divided up. I think it might be during the Brand New Day era, which I know Dan Slott's part of that. After JMS's run, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Amazing Spider-Man gets a bit scattered. And what I mean by that is that we have a kind of compilation of different writers, artists, creators that all take issues on that book. It's less, hey, JMS is on every single issue of Amazing Spider-Man for this stretch, and it's more, hey, we jump between a couple creators, like I know Dan Slott, Joe Kelly, and more jumped on Amazing Spider-Man after JMS's run during that Brand New Day era. So again, I'm not sure. I know it is post JMS, but I don't know exactly when Joe Kelly's run falls. And I know that omnibus, if you look at the contents, you can see that it jumps around a bit. I've heard pretty good things. I would be curious to pick up that book just because I am a fan of the Spider-Man omnibuses, but I have yet to read it and I have yet to collect it. But would love feedback if anyone in the chat has read that run. What's your favorite Hickman Marvel book? Easily that I've read so far, Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman. Huge fan. Admittedly, I haven't read all of Hickman's stuff. I'm also really enjoying his current Ultimate Spider-Man run, what I've read of that. A huge fan of House of X Powers of 10. Those are probably my favorite Hickman. I'm reading through his Avengers run still, really liking that. Secret Wars was great. Secret Warriors was great. But yeah, I'd say Fantastic Four, House of X, Powers of 10, and the current Ultimate Spider-Man from Hickman are my favorites. Have you read Busick's Avengers? Only very little. I would actually love to read more of the Busick era of Avengers. I think he wrote it with George Perez on art, if I'm not mistaken. I know those have omnibuses. Have yet to pick those up, but I'd be very interested. Okay, let's go ahead and keep going here. Like I said, I'll be on the chat another 10-15 minutes, so keep those questions coming. Keep those like buttons clicked if you're enjoying this, and I'll just keep going with what I'm currently reading. So this is Conan the Barbarian Omnibus, Volume 1 from Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures. This is very similar to what Marvel released not too long ago. They're calling this the Original Comics Omnibus, but it's similar to the original Marvel Years Omnibus, or whatever that one was called. Titan acquired the rights to Conan the Barbarian. They've had a new ongoing, and they're reprinting a lot of the old stuff. Though what's cool is the omnibus format they have is very similar to the Marvel stuff. So if you didn't complete your run of that, you could probably get this. And other than this bar, it's going to look really good on your shelf, I think, as far as consistency goes. But yeah, I couldn't be happier with this omnibus. Honestly, great paper stock. Got some cool end pages. This is my first foray into Conan the Barbarian, but I am a fan of Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith, who are writer and illustrator for most of this book. I actually just finished out the Roy Thomas era on Avengers, kind of in the 70s, and I know he jumped from that over to this, and so I'm really excited to jump into more Roy Thomas. I really enjoy his stuff. There's an introduction from him in this collection that is awesome. He kind of goes through everything he wrote in this book. And yeah, just really solid stuff here. Great kind of sword and sorcery fantasy adventure. I didn't know what to expect with Conan, but there's a lot of kind of paranormal, supernatural mysticism with this that I thought was really exciting. The action is great. The characters are all there. The artwork from Barry Windsor Smith, who I first encountered reading Wolverine Weapon X. It's just all great. You know, it's earlier Barry Windsor Smith stuff. I think they just called him Barry Smith at this time. But yeah, amazing book. Still making my way through this though, but cannot wait to review this. That has been a really fun recent read for me. And again, this is not everything I'm currently reading. This is just some I haven't talked about enough on the channel and that I'm reading, I think, more more consistently by night, I would say. But yeah, I'm always reading a ton of stuff at once. It can get a little chaotic, but it leads to fun content like this where I can just kind of talk about it a little bit more. Let's see. Got Janice Lost in the chat. Hello. Currently tackling a few projects. Doom Patrol by Morrison. I've read some of that. Pretty solid stuff. Justice League International Volume 1. I've heard almost exclusively great things about that run. I've yet to get to that myself. And Green Arrow by Grell Volume 1. Okay, I've read Longbow Hunters and the beginning of the Grell run. Really, really fantastic. Kind of gritty, I think 80s DC Comics. That run is pretty awesome. So I hope you enjoy those. Those sound like some really good stuff. What I've read of those two were really great. Again, I haven't gotten to Justice League International, but I've heard really good stuff. Mr. Tex, I picked up a Minibus Volume 2. I just ordered that as well. Hopefully I get that soon. And Deadpool by Daniel Way Volume 2. Great. Yeah, I've read, I think, probably 2/3 of Daniel Way's run in paperback a long time ago. I'm honestly a huge fan of it. I've heard mixed reviews on that run, but I'm a really big fan of Daniel Way's Deadpool. That's kind of what I consider my Deadpool, because that's the era I read most extensively and how I got really introduced to the character. Yeah, so hopefully you'll enjoy reading it. Okay, for the last two books for this live stream this morning, we're going to be talking about two different Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle books I got from IDW. Huge thank you to those guys, similar to Titan for sending Conan the Barbarian. But yeah, these books, I'm really, really stoked. So other than reading The Last Ronin, which admittedly is a weird place to start, I had not read any of the Turtles comics. And obviously it's a huge, prolific, powerhouse franchise. I'm a child of the 90s, so the Turtles were already in the zeitgeist quite a bit when I came along. I remember those original kind of trilogy of movies. I remember some animated series happening, but I never went back to the 80s and read the source material. Again, always curious about it, and that is what we have here. We have most of the early run collected. I think there's maybe one issue missing to keep it from a totally chronological run right here. This is part one. There's 3 of them that collect the full kind of early run. Again, other than a couple ones that I think had rights issues or something. We'll look at that in a moment, though. That's the original Turtle stuff. And then this is the IDW Turtle series relaunch that came out, I don't know, someone can correct me, but I think a decade or so ago. This is one, I've seen these editions everywhere. They look gorgeous. I mean, look, these two, they even have these little ribbons. I love that. Oversized hardcover. But this is a series, again, I've heard almost unanimously great reviews on, especially the early parts of this run. Always wanted to check it out, and so this has been really fun to dive in. So let me just show you a little bit about this. This contains the first, basically, year of the TMNT IDW collection. Yeah, we got some like really awesome even end pages here. Quality of the paper stock I also think is really solid. Love the art direction for this series. Have a couple different artists on it, but overall just really great stuff. Table of contents is also wonderful. They're paged, has all the creators and even like a little thumbnail of some of the images from the covers of each of those, which is great. So yeah, the first 12 issues plus a couple little like mini issues you can see. But this has been a really fun nightly read. It is a total relaunch, reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we get a new origin story that is similar to what came before, but definitely some new stuff mixed in. I don't want to spoil too much, but really a great book. And honestly, reading this with that compendium of the originals, it's really cool to see some of the discrepancies and differences and what changed over time. So I think this is wrapping up this format with edition, I don't know, there's like 17 or 18 volumes in this run, I think, and they're just releasing the last one if I'm not mistaken. So I'm a little late to the party. Like I said, I've had years of people recommending this and telling me it's great, and I'm seeing that now. It's honestly a ton of fun. I'm not sure how many I'll be able to collect in here, but I'm loving it. I really am. Like I said, the art is really cool. If you like kind of action, character-based storytelling, this might be for you. If you've ever been a fan of the Turtles in any medium, again, high recommend. So much fun. But yeah, I plan to review this on the channel as well, if like me, you were looking for more details about it. And yeah, collects like the first year of the Turtles. And before we get to the last book, let me go ahead and check back in to the chat here. Let's see if I can keep this up without falling over. We'll see. Oh, cool. We got some more conversations here. Let's see. What in the world? Brave and the boys sent a little heart or gift or something. Thank you. I'm assuming Jake, could be Jordan, but thank you guys so much. Was just talking about you earlier on the chat. Awesome. Let's see. Just finished Grant Morrison's Batman run. Excellent, excellent run. That's a great run. I've read it in paperback. Want to get the Omnis someday. Have yet to do so. Roller coaster of good and bad. Oh wow, some mixed reviews on Grant Morrison's run. You know what? There are more highs and lows for me in that run as well, but overall I trended very positive on Morrison's era. Going into Hickman's Fantastic Four, I really hope you like it. I was just talking about that a moment ago. One of my favorite Hickman properties and my favorite Fantastic Four run to date that I've had the opportunity to read. I'm in the same boat with TMNT, only read The Last Ronin. Oh my gosh, okay, that makes me feel so much better. I know Last Ronin's supposed to be like the final turtle story-ish, so I felt like I was doing that a bit backwards, but I was culturally aware enough about the turtles, I thought I'd be okay, and I totally was, but really fun to go back to the beginnings here. Yeah, well, hey, I recommend this and this. If you enjoyed Last Ronin and want to read more turtles, both are really great. We'll get to that and you can kind of compare. Let's see. Have you read Boom Studios Power Rangers run by Higgins? I have always wanted to, but no, I have not been able to. I've read some of the Higgins Nightwing run at DC, and I love that. And I've read some of his Radiant Black title, which I also like. But I missed out on a lot of those big deluxe Power Ranger books, so I haven't really gotten to that. But heard great things. I was definitely a child that grew up with the Power Rangers, so I would love to read that run if I ever have the opportunity or if those early books come back into print. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Brave and the Boys, it's never Jordan. Okay. Well, good morning, Jake. Thank you. Welcome to the chat. Flexing that out of print Wolverine. Oh, he's probably pointing at my volume 1. Yes. I love it. Oh, it's so great. Okay, what else do we got? I think that's it on the chat. So with that, we'll go ahead and proceed to the final book in the collection. Like I said, guys, I plan to be live for another 5 minutes or so. We'll do this last book, and then I'll open it up if there's any more questions, and then I'll bid adieu until next time. But thank you all for joining who have stuck along so far. I would love to remind you, just for the algorithm and my own just positive, happy encouragement today, hit that like button if you're enjoying the content. And okay, let's go ahead and dive in. So like I said for the previous TMNT collection, this is another beginnings of the franchise, another great place to start reading. In fact, this is the earliest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles content. IDW released this run across these beautiful oversized hardcover compendium editions. They are the height or kind of trim size of an omnibus, which I love. I got a great little ribbon, kind of like the other collections. Let's see if I can do Under the Dust Jacket. Ta-da! Kind of black and green. I like it. I will say the paper stock is really thick. So this looks massive and it is a big collection, but the page count is maybe not as high as you would think just because the pages themselves are so thick. So as you open it up, a lot of green pages. Got a cool table of contents. Love that. It's page numbered and everything. My preferred way of doing table of contents. And then if you didn't know, the original Turtles run is all in black and white, and that's certainly what we have here other than the covers, which have some colors. But yeah, it all begins here. And I forgot that the Turtles kind of ripped off Daredevil in some ways, or paid homage or spoofed in some ways. Like instead of the hand, it's the foot, and their origin seems to be linked to Daredevil. Of course, they can't say that, probably for rights issues. But very, very fun stuff. I won't spoil too much of that here, but when I review it, I'll definitely talk about it. But yeah, just some great stuff. I'm surprised how well this holds up. These comics, again, I have never read them. I don't have the nostalgia glasses, so I'm encountering it all for the first time. But the art is just spectacular. Love it. Love the black and white, honestly. I think it's really amazing. And there's a lot of grit here. There's a lot of great action. It doesn't feel childish in any way to me other than the kind of goofiness that they're turtles. And I'm sorry, that might be a horrible thing to say, but you know what I mean? Like the concept, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's just kind of a silly concept, and yet it's played so grimdark and serious, but it does have its own bits of humor interjected in it. I love it. Honestly, it's a great melding of genre. It's a great take on just kind of an action-based comic series. Got the Shredder. Anyway, I don't want to spoil too much, but that's really what this is, you know, and it's a really thick paper stock, like I said. But yeah, really been liking this, and it's kind of funny. I wasn't sure if I'd start with the original stuff or with the TMNT IDW run, and I'm just reading them both simultaneously. So it's really fun to kind of juxtapose it and get the differences between the two runs, kind of the modern era relaunch and the original. But I'm loving both, plan to review both on the channel. And that is most of my current reads. Again, I'm reading a little bit more than this, but these are my more actively reading kind of shelf here. And it's just been a long time since I've done this. I had like 20 minutes or so this morning. Thought I'd jump on and yeah, just hope you guys like it. So in this last minute here, any last minute questions or anything else I can talk about, would love to hit that real quick. Otherwise, catch me in the comments or however, and I'll definitely address later. Fit the Jack Gaming, what's up? Friend of the channel. Lowell, I just started that book last night, TMNT Compendium Volume 1, and hi Dom as well. And hi chat. Hi, buddy. Yeah, great book. How are you liking it so far? I'm thinking it's really fun. Honestly, from the get, it's like a ton of action. It really just starts super strong. Next question. Have you read any G.I. Joe? Will you be interested in the Larry Hama new series, the one set in the Energon universe? Honestly, I have not read any G.I. Joe. I am so sorry. I know that has like a huge cult following and that they've finally been doing some reprints. I'm a fan of Larry Hama. I loved his run that I'm reading on Wolverine right now. So I've heard good things, but no, I have not read any of the G.I. Joe stuff. I am a little bit curious about the new Energon stuff for no other reason than I'm interested in some of the creators attached to it. And my wife and I are going through the Transformers movies right now. It's just kind of a fun night watch. So I have been thinking about it. I haven't read any Transformer comics either. So I'm out of the loop on those franchises, but it's one I honestly was thinking about the Transformers series last night by, is it Daniel Warren Johnson? Anyway, been thinking about reading that series, but have yet to get to it. If someone owns those OG hardcovers or trades, let me know if I'm wrong. Okay, for sure. I'm loving it, seeing moments from the first movie in it. Very surprised by that. Yeah, again, this was just so much more strong than I even hoped for. Really loving that read. This is also quite good, but this one's really hooking me. I actually think if I had a preference at this point, I actually think the original stuff is kind of taking my heart a bit more. Okay, guys, last call, and then we're going to go ahead and sign off for the day. Like I said, a little bit of a quicker live stream, 20, 30 minutes. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone who jumped in the chat and just who joined us this morning. I know this wasn't scheduled, so I really appreciate everyone who made it by. And if you're watching on the replay, still hit me with those questions. I'll be happy to answer it. Let me know what you guys are reading. I always love hearing that, getting some good recommendations and kind of discussions going. Also, let me know if you have read any of this content or if you plan to, if you're picking this up. Love to hear all of that in the comments section. DWJ Volume 1 trade, solid. Awesome. Cool. I'm assuming that's the Transformers by Daniel Warren Johnson. Let's see. They have a deluxe of the Transformer Energon universe coming out soon. Oh, maybe I'll stand by for that. Cool. Okay, guys. Well, thanks everyone so much. This has been Dominic with the Comic Book Report, and everyone have a great week.